allergies are pretty strong right now. So that being said, how do we limit allergies? And, educate me a little bit. I mean, I have a feeling it's very similar to what we eat and what we do and what we take and all that good stuff. But
Sure. Well, ideally, we know what we're allergic to and we can avoid it, but that's not always possible. But for an allergy to affect our body, like pollen, grass, and so forth, it needs to get into our nose, into our mucous membranes in our throat, sit there for a while, create a histamine response in our body, and ultimately we have the typical allergic reaction: stuffy nose, sneezing, itching, watery eyes, and so forth. So if you do nothing but rinse out the inside of your nose with a dilute hydrogen peroxide solution or just saline, snort it up, spit it out, do that a couple, 3 times a day, especially during allergy season, you'll wash out those allergens and give them less time to affect you. Then there are a variety of course, antihistamines that you can use in the form of nose sprays or pills that can be enormously helpful as well. And then eating clean, of course, plays a role. Unfortunately, most of us are dehydrated. And I had a 86-year-old man in yesterday who said he wasn't feeling good. He was feeling fatigued, a little depressed, and so forth. Yeah. We reviewed his water consumption, and he was easily 10 to 15% dehydrated. The brain is made up of about 60% water. Even a 1% decline, a 1% dehydration can cause depression, anxiety, fatigue, and overall not make us feel good. So you got to get hydrated. That's probably the single most important thing. And then, boy, I'll tell you, stress is everywhere. And I don't have a pill or a supplement to fix stress. We need to learn how to better cope. We need to meditate. We need to pray. We need to take things a little bit lighter. Maybe we need to play a little more golf and be outdoors more. But we got to dial down our stress if we want to have a fighting chance.
Well, if you're Al Gottfried, golf might actually stress you out even more. It's interesting though. Like I'll even hear my wife. She'll be like, "I'm just stressed out," and she thinks that's the cause of her getting sick or something. And I try to roll my eyes, but maybe she's got something there. I don't know. But
well, stress is important, and it directly correlates with disease. And there's no way to make up for it. You can't run your way out of stress. You can't take a pill with stress.
Yeah.
Stress, I think, is a link to cancer as well. And so if you can control your stress, if you can eat clean and drink plenty of purified water, you are way ahead of the game.
Can you overhydrate yourself?
Not really. I mean, technically, you can drink too much water. There are conditions for doing that. But if you have healthy kidneys, you're going to pee out what you don't need. So you're not really going to overhydrate yourself, especially if you are drinking purified water, not tap water.
Okay. A couple things that came up, and I think it's interesting, and I'd love to get your take on this. This is the first time we haven't talked about the big C in a while, but I want to ask you about, the weather and if it's a myth. People talk about, well, you get sick. It's too cold outside. Put a jacket on, or it's raining. What are you doing? Don't, go back inside. Does Mother Nature really have an effect on getting sick, whether it's a flu or a cold, or is it really just about germs?
Well, listen, weather plays a role. There's no question about it, but you don't get sick because you're cold. But what happens during the winter is we tend to gather together, more indoor activity. We're outside less sunshine, less fresh air. And as a result of that, our exposure goes up. Certainly in the extremes of temperature, that can cause problems. So during the summer, especially if you live in Texas, it can get awfully hot there. And as a result, you can get dehydrated. If you're older, you don't have that same sense of becoming thirsty. So you need to be extraordinarily careful if you're old and in the hot weather. So at the extremes, weather can play a role, but mostly it's about gathering indoors during the cold winter and being exposed to more people.